All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next KWA Author Spotlight. I have Anne Richardson with me today. Hi, Anne. How are you doing?
Good, Bray. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. It's so great to have you with us. And we're going to be talking about your latest book that just got released. And this is your third book that you've released. And I'm excited to talk about this one as you walk everyone through Israel, the Holy Land, and your experiences there. And you have colored pictures. It's just a brilliant book to help others be a part of Israel that haven't been there. And for those that have been there, just reignites the memories and just everything that God spoke to me personally when I went through your book. And so we're going to be talking about that today. And I've got a bunch of questions to blast you with, Anne, and we're going to have fun. And I'm excited. So, hey, everyone, welcome. My name is Bray Wyckoff. I'm the director of Kingdom Writers Association. And Anne Richardson is one of our members at KWA, and she just published her book, and we are doing an author spotlight for her. So, Anne, I'm going to ask you the first question. We're going to get things kick-started, okay?
Okay.
How did publishing your first book or this book change your process of writing or change you personally as a writer?
Well, I think what probably the biggest change is that I have more confidence now.
Yeah,
Mm, it took me a long time to get to that place to say, I think I can do this.
yeah,
And so after the first book, um, I realized that I don't need to focus on the whole picture. So if I just take one step at a time, just write this piece. If you don't have the intro, you don't have the ending, don't worry about it.
yeah,
And don't worry about getting an editor or Amazon or publishing. I mean, I could get overwhelmed and then just not do anything.
yes.
So that's something I've learned too, is I can do this and just take one step at a time.
Yeah, that is so good, Anne, because you're hitting stuff that people are getting overwhelmed with all the time, and that is trying to think of all the pieces that they're unfamiliar with, and you just have to hunker down and just write what you're called to write. Now, I love that you said you had the confidence now. So, what was that? What was the biggest thing when you were writing that first book that was shaking your confidence? How long did it take you to get that first book out?
Um, it took maybe about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
My first book is it's called Not Alone. It's a workbook for women who've had trauma,
yeah,
and I was leading groups and creating the materials, gathering stories with permission. And so after I'd done a group or two, some of the women in the group said, you really ought to publish this.
yeah,
And so something started stirring inside me, even though I was kind of nervous. It's like, what? Put
yeah,
this out there, that I felt God was asking me to do it so more
yeah,
could be touched and receive his healing.
yeah. It's
Mhm.
interesting where we get one word from somebody. You weren't even thinking about publishing, and then somebody comes up to you and says that, and there's something inside of us that just goes, "Whoa, I think this is," and then you get that confirmation from God, and you're like, "I need to do this. I don't know what I'm doing or how I'm going to do it, but I just need to do it." And I tell people to get their win. You got to get that win, and that's getting that first book out. And when you get that first book out, it shakes off all of the doubt and uncertainty, and gets you the courage to keep going to the next one, and you get better and better and better at it. And I love that book that you launched because it's helping women go through trauma and navigate it, that have gone through trauma. And you're speaking from experience, and there's so many of us that have been broken by, people or circumstances or the world. And they just think there's no hope, or no one understands me. I'm the only one. and you've written a book to help them navigate that. So what's the title of it again? It's
Well, the book is called, because I have two. I have a book and a workbook, and the
yeah,
book is called Not Alone: Transforming Trauma and Accompanying Survivors.
yeah,
So that book has a part two piece for ministry leaders, clergy, family members, because a lot of people have been wounded in the church,
yeah,
and it's unintentional. It's just church people don't know what to
yeah,
say or what to
yeah,
do, especially if it's concerning sexual trauma.
yep.
So I wrote a section to for those people as well. And then
Wow,
the workbook is called Not Alone: A Christ-Centered Recovery Process for Women Who've Experienced Physical, Emotional, or Sexual Trauma.
wow. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's brilliant, and that's going to help so many people. I want to share my screen with you or with everybody because I want them to see your latest book that just came out, Experiencing God's Love Through Israel, and it's a pictorial devotional. I'm on Anne's website. It's Anne, A-N-N-E, Marie, M-A-R-I-E, Richardson.com. And this is under books, and you can see she's got Experiencing God's Love color edition, and then you got a black and white, and then you also have the Kindle edition, which will of course be in color. And it is fantastic. And it says it takes us on a unique journey through Israel with 64 days of Anne's personal photos and spiritual practices that encourage you to draw closer to God. She has some great personal stories throughout it, and some biblical facts. And it's brilliant. I loved every part of this, Anne. And when I went through it, by the way, I just left a 5-star review on Amazon for you, and because it's just so brilliant, and I love it. And I love you, and I love your heart, because I got to know you as I went through this book too, because of you personalize it so well. And everyone that gets this book is just gonna love it. If you haven't been to Israel, you're gonna love going to Israel through Anne's eyes and her heart. And then those that have been to Israel, it's gonna reignite all the memories of you being there. And Anne has a great way of narrating and making it engaging and bringing you in the journey, not just an outside spectator, but kind of bringing you right there on those spots. So everyone go to Amazon. Here's the Amazon page, and you can get her books there, and look up Anne Richardson. And this one's Experiencing God's Love Through Israel, a pictorial devotional, and that's the color edition. And of course, she's got the other editions as well. So, all right, Anne, great start, but I want to know, what is your kryptonite as a writer?
Oh, it's the marketing and the promoting
Oh,
piece.
you said the M word,
I
marketing.
said the M word. It's like a ball and chain on my leg.
Yep.
And I know it's a part of being an author, but I just want to write and create. I don't want to have to deal with that piece, and it's really hard.
Yeah.
I did take your workshop, which was excellent, but it's still a challenge for me, especially social media. It's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah. Yeah, it is the nemesis for writers. Some people love it. They just love, social media in general, and you watch them and you go, "Oh my God, I don't even want to do what they're doing." You see the success of it, but then you're like, "I still don't even want to do it." Um, so yeah, there's ways around it. It just costs more money to, hire people to market for us, and but it's painful. It's painful. There's no magic formula. We just wish there was an easy button, where's that easy button? And our books would just fly off the shelf, and it just doesn't happen. I'm sorry. But the best marketing is the people that we surround ourselves with, the relationships. They love us, they love you, And when they read something as well written as what you've produced in all of your books, and we take any book that we've read personally and we love to champion them. We love to promote them. We love to share what they've done. And so everyone that you're listening to this, I just ask that you would invest so into Anne, buy her book. But then as you get to know Anne and you trust her with her writings, because trust is a big deal with writing, because we've read bad books and we don't trust that author anymore. And but you're going to trust Anne, guaranteed. And then when you trust that author, you want to promote them. So get out there, share the links on your social media and with your friends and your family, and that creates the buzz. And that's the marketing, that's the best marketing buzz we can have. Is I'd rather have 100 solid people, really champion what I'm doing because they love me and they love what I've poured out for them, than 1,000 people that are just trying to make it on their own, as far as doing their own thing. And so if we can get 100 solid people behind us, then that's where mountains are moved. So, and you're doing a great job. Don't worry about the marketing. God's going to be your best marketer, and he's going to get that book into the right hands. And you just keep writing. Okay, I know it's frustrating. It's frustrating for me as well. So is there any marketing tips that you want to give to anybody that you've encountered personally?
Well, they can take your workshop.
Yes, I give some good pointers there, and good direction to go and to explore with marketing.
I do think it does help to speak and do some workshops. I've done a
Yes.
few, and then I had a few on the books, but then COVID came. So
Yeah.
hopefully when things open back up, I think
Yeah.
that helps.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that
Mhm.
goes right into building trust. When you're talking in front of people, they gravitate towards you, right? They just love what you're saying, and like, wow, they get to the point where like, I need that. I need this book, and I need this, and it's going to help me. So yeah, speaking engagements are a beautiful thing. So yes, kryptonite marketing, check, got it. My next question, Anne, is what are common traps for up and coming writers to look out for that you've encountered over your 3 books that you've published? What are some traps to look out for?
Well, I think the biggest trap is to recognize your inner critic. So the
Ah,
inner critic that says, I can't do this. No one wants to hear what I have to say. Well, there's all those other books out there. Why would they want mine?
right.
Um, it's too much. What about publishing? I can't afford it. Whatever it is, that's that little inner critic, as I call it.
Yep.
And I think another thing too is I just would encourage people not to go alone, do this alone. I have a wonderful critique group through KWA,
Yeah.
and I now have a writing partner. And I think that's just really important to support each other, critique each other's work. I'm also taking a class right now to, just improve my skills. So
Yeah.
don't go it alone.
Yeah, you have hit the heart of what I love to just talk about, and that's have a community around you that's going to love and support you, and you're going to do the same. And then the inner critic, um, that a nasty voice that comes out and just derails people's assignments. You've nailed both things that to look out for is really big. Um, and yeah, everybody listening to this, you have a voice, you have a unique voice, and you need to stop listening to that critic that's not your voice. And God's saying yes, and we should say, why are we saying no, or resisting that yes that he's put on us? So, and then I love, Anne, that you're getting more training, that you haven't arrived at 3 books and say, oh, I've got this.
Mhm. Always room to grow.
Yes.
Only grow until I go.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
We should be like little children trying to learn. And like today, I'm learning more, from Anne as Anne's releasing stuff. I'm continually learning as I interview each person and interact with other writers and take more classes and all of these things. So that's brilliant. It's great, great advice. And okay, what was your hardest scene or chapter to write? And let's talk about this book, your latest book, the Israel one.
Well, I don't know if I have a difficult chapter to write, but what was challenging for me was dealing with all the photos.
Okay.
And at first I got a little discouraged because I thought I couldn't do color,
Yeah.
because print color is very expensive
Yeah.
and no one's going to be able to afford it. And so then I focused on black and white and getting them shaped right. And then I got my first proof copy and the photos looked horrible. So
Yeah.
we had to go back and enhance them. And then we talked to Amazon and they said, well, if you reduce it, cut it down, it might be affordable to do the color. So then I was excited.
Uh,
They've been very supportive, by the way.
that's great.
KDP is very supportive, Kindle
Yeah.
Direct Publishing.
Yep.
So that was a big challenge to me, but now I feel over the photo hurdle, so to speak, because I really like to put photos in my books.
Yeah. Yeah. Pictures speak 1,000 words. It's so true. And I can't imagine this book that you wrote not having the pictures in there because they explain so much, they show so much. And to try to write that without anyone ever being there. And then
Right.
even those that have been there and you're trying to explain something, you're like, it's that picture with the words, it just speaks volumes.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you fought through it, that you figured it out
Hmm.
and you got it down to that was manageable. And because what you and everyone that's having future children's books or other books that are going to have pictures in them, take note that you can do it and there's ways to do it and there's people even at KDP that are willing to help you
Hmm.
navigate that.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that is brilliant. Was there even in your other books, was there a difficult chapter or anything that you wrote about and
Yeah, I
that
think
you had
in
to
my
get
first
over?
book, I'm sorry, yeah, in my first book, it was definitely writing my story,
Yeah.
you know, being and being willing to publish that. And, you know, uh, Brene Brown says there's power in being vulnerable, and a lot of readers are drawn to the author when they're more vulnerable and willing to share their story
Yeah.
or their struggles. And so that was a challenge for me to kind of get over that.
Yeah.
And then not to listen to any outside critics, to know that I'm writing for the hers. That's what I call them, women
Yeah.
who've had trauma.
Yeah.
And that's my audience. And I know many who've been touched. And so that's where
Yeah.
I'm at now.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to be vulnerable with um, your story.
Yeah. Vulnerability is huge and I'm and you might have even had to have held back in some of the stuff that you wrote. Um, because I know people that have gone through so much pain. It's
Right.
they write about the pain, but it's not about the pain. It's about how to get through it and with God and inviting Him into the process. And
Right.
it's not about just divulging everything. And so
Right.
there's such a dance with it,
Mhm.
and you do it so well. It's disheartening when we have to go through these things in life, and yet God takes those things and helps us build something and be vulnerable to help others get through it.
Right.
And so that's the beauty of walking in a dark world, where we've been hurt or injured by others, and then having God help us and then help others through it. So it's brilliant. Yeah, that's our God. He's amazing.
Mhm.
He is amazing. All right.
Mhm.
And this is my fifth question. What does literary success look like to you as an author? What does that mean to you? Literary success. What does it look like for you?
Well, I think it's like I hold two pieces. Yes, as an author, I want to get many books out there.
Yeah.
And yes, I really want to um, share my experiences with others so they can have it too. It's kind of like the woman at the well.
Yeah.
She had this amazing experience with Jesus, and she ran and told everybody in the village about it.
Yeah.
So I have both pieces, and I think what helps me is the Apostle Paul said that he's learned to be content with many or few.
Yeah.
And so learned means it's not instant.
Right.
And
Right.
so that's my prayer, is like, Lord, I'd like many, but may I be content with a few.
Yeah.
And if a few are helped, amen.
Yeah. That is so spot on, because we can get caught up with trying to strive for the world's version of success.
Mhm.
And then we have to settle in our spirit, in our heart, what's successful for us. And some of us, the success is just getting the book out and
Mhm.
publishing it, you know, and then you don't worry about how many sales you have. And then others, the goal is, I want to sell a million books. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Um, but it's got to be okay with you, and you got to be settled with it in your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love that. So that's great. That's fantastic. All right, I want to share my screen again, and I just want to remind everyone about Anne's books here. So she's got Experiencing God's Love Through Israel. That's what we're talking about, this pictorial devotional, guys. And I highly encourage you to invest in the color edition. Anne and I have talked about this. Color is so important when it comes to pictures. And you talked, briefly about the difficulties having the black and white and the color. And I encourage you, because if I switch over here to the devotional in the color, it's $25, everyone, for a paperback. Just think of you're going to go to Starbucks and spend $5 a day. Stop going for 5 days, and you've paid for this. It's free. Okay, and you get this, and you're going to have it forever. It's going to be on your shelf. It's going to be a coffee book. It's going to, your coffee book table. It's going to be something that you're going to have devotions with God with throughout the year and next year and years to come. And it's also something that you can bless others with, because as you read this, you're going to see the value, and you're going to say, I need to gift this to for birthdays and anniversaries and Christmas and all of those things for others. So highly encourage you guys to invest and sow into Anne and buy the $25 book that she's got. See, Anne, I'm marketing for you.
Thank you.
Anne's like, can you go with me everywhere?
Yeah. Can you keep that up?
Yeah. Let me check my schedule. I love it. All right, what are you working on now? What's the next thing?
Well, I'm got a couple of things I'm kind of piecing together. One book is a memoir of my dad's story. He
Wow.
he and his family migrated to America from Russia during the Bolshevik Revolution,
Whoa.
and he's got all these stories
Yeah.
of growing up on the farm, and so I'm working on that. And
Yeah.
there was he experienced a lot of trauma as well, and kind of intertwining it with some of mine and some other family members.
Yeah.
So one piece I'm working on. And
Wow.
another piece is that I've gotten some positive feedback about Not Alone, that a lot of the spiritual practices in my workbook would be good for everybody, because everybody's been broken or wounded. And so
Yeah.
I'm going to try to work on taking some of that, maybe adding some new pieces
Right.
so it's more open.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's brilliant. I
Yeah.
love it. I love how you're going to take, some of your dad's stuff and just like really champion your history and to pass that on and to share that. That's going to be brilliant.
Yeah.
And I know God's going to be speaking to you through that as you go and explore and write and narrate that out. So that's going to be a fun project with you and Papa God.
Yep. Yep. And I'm taking a memoir class, so that's helping me. I'm learning a lot.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. That's one of the areas I get a lot of people asking me, how do I write a memoir? And I haven't written one, so it's kind of hard for me to, I mean, I know the basics of it, I understand it, but it's not something I am always comfortable talking with people about because I haven't gone through it myself.
Mhm.
And I don't like to train things that I don't know completely.
Mhm.
So that's great that you're getting that training because I know there's a lot of people out there that have that to get training on.
Mhm.
What is the one thing in regards to writing you wish everybody knew? And what's the
Uh,
one thing?
don't give up.
Come on.
Don't give up. And I want to share a God story with you.
Okay.
So, I wanted to be a writer for a long time. And in my late 30s, I thought I would try travel writing. And my uncle was a successful travel writer and he mentored me.
Yeah.
And so the day came where I took my family and we went up to Yosemite. And I got permission from the lodge where we stayed to use some pictures. And
Yeah.
we went all over. And I came home and wrote up this, what I thought was a beautiful article on places to see, things to do.
Yeah.
And I sent it out and I got rejection, rejection, rejection.
Wow.
So because I hadn't really dealt with some of my childhood wounds and I didn't have that confidence piece,
Yeah.
I quit.
Yeah.
I just quit.
Yeah.
And so a few years ago, a colleague of mine gave me a copy of Human Development magazine, and she suggested I try to write for them. And again, something kind of stirred inside me, and I thought,
Yeah.
okay, so I contacted the editor and told him I'd like to write an article on accompanying survivors of trauma. And he was really open to that and said, send me your piece.
Yeah.
So now I have a little side story.
Okay.
When I was young, in my 20s, I went to Paris and I went to the Louvre and I fell in love with the artist Georges de la Tour.
Okay.
And his painting that I was so drawn to is called Joseph the Carpenter. And it's a picture of Joseph and Jesus is there as a young boy holding a candle. And you could just see the love between the two of them.
Yeah.
And Latour had a way of capturing the candlelight on their faces.
Wow.
And so I bought a print and I had it in my home for quite a few years. But then with many moves, it became torn and tattered and I had to throw it away.
Yeah.
So what was that? Maybe almost 30, 40 years later, in 2019, my husband and I went to Paris and I went back to the Louvre. And the first thing I ask is, where's Georges de la Tour?
Yeah.
Go upstairs and there's that beautiful painting of Joseph and Jesus. And I could just feel God's love for me.
Yeah.
And so in the summer of 2019, my first article was published in Human Development. And guess what was on the cover?
Whoa. No way, Anne.
This is Georges de la Tour's Joseph and
What?
Jesus. Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, I know, my jaw dropped. I was just so grateful to God. And so it says here,
Wow.
together, Joseph and Jesus discovered the light of the Heavenly Father's gifts and call. So I want to say to all of you, God has gifted and called you. Don't give up.
Woo. Wow, Anne. That brings tears to my eyes. My gosh. I can't go on anymore. This interview is over. Gosh. Oh, that was amazing. You can't make this stuff up, people.
No.
This is God. He orchestrates things like this.
Mhm.
It's so incredible. And that you had had all that injury of being rejected, and then it spurred it back up. The Lord's like, no, try again. And I'm going to show you how much I'm in this. And you stepped out, you didn't give up, you did it. And then look at that amazing confirmation. That
Yeah,
is incredible.
that's right.
Oh my gosh, Anne. Oh,
Yeah. I felt so loved by God. And I
oh,
just encourage you, I just want to say, rejection's a part of publishing. It's just a part of it.
yeah,
And just don't give up because you've been called.
yeah. Wow, gosh. I want everyone to receive that. Don't give up. This is huge.
Mhm.
That is huge. Don't give up. Do not. Do
Mhm.
not let the enemy win. Do not let him silence your voice. Do not. Do not. God's said yes, then we just go for it and we don't give up. We're relentless. Like God is relentless coming after us. We
Mhm.
need to be relentless in our writing. Come on, I'm so excited. And do you have a copy of your book that you just released? All right. Yes. Look at that. Is that a colored one? Is that the colored one?
Mhm.
Let's see a couple colored pages here. And
Okay.
I love this. Show and tell, everybody.
Okay. Well, here's I don't know if you can see it, but it's an
Yeah.
ancient gate found in the Dan Nature Reserve, and they
Yeah.
believe that Abraham walked through it.
Come on. Woo! This
They
is this is so rich. That's just one page, and it's so rich with just the history and just your personal experience there. And oh, it's wonderful.
Let me see. Oh, here's Jacob's well.
Yes. I haven't been there yet, and you went. I know. I was so jealous when I saw that one.
Actually, I didn't.
You
My
didn't get to
friend
go there.
did.
Okay, your friends did.
Yes, I got a few photos from a friend who was able to go to places I wasn't. But
Yeah,
because I love the woman at the well,
we do
I just
too.
I had to put this in here.
We got to try to find a way to get over there. Some of the places are difficult to get to, everyone. That's why we're talking about it, but
Yeah.
that's
Here's
fantastic.
a ruins of Capernaum,
Yes, that's an amazing place.
where
Yes.
Jesus spent most of his time in his ministry.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, yep. That's a beautiful place. And I can't wait to go back, and got to go back. But this is a book to have with you guys. You guys got to get this book. You have to. Um, and so I'm going to finish up this interview. My one last question for you, Anne, is why do you write? What is your why?
To share my experiences, my healing journey that I've had with God, with others, because I really believe in my heart when Jesus said, I came to give them life, the abundant life. I
Yeah.
believe that's internal. And to me, that means the love, joy, the peace, fruits of the Spirit. I'm going to add hope, courage, confidence, and internal freedom. And this kind of life is open to all.
Yeah.
And I believe we draw closer to God. And not all the time. I have struggles and ups and downs, but
Yeah.
I can experience that peace more often than not,
Yeah.
that freedom
Yeah.
now more than I ever did before. And that's because of God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can have that too.
Uh, Yes, yes, and amen.
Mhm.
And you are a blessing. You are a gem. You are brilliant, and your voice is powerful, and your voice is being heard, and it's being heard by God. And that's our number one person that we are for, is having him hear us and we hear him. And thank you for sharing your heart today on this interview. And I know this is going to bless a lot of people. It blessed me. And we pray blessings upon your future endeavors and your future books coming out. And I'm a fan, and can't wait to see you in person so I can get my book autographed. And
Thank
everyone, I
you.
encourage you to get her book, and or her books, and also leave an Amazon review for her. I can't tell everyone enough how important Amazon reviews are. They warm the author's heart because they're getting feedback, but it also helps others when they're making a decision and they hear the heart of the readers that experienced it firsthand. So, like I said, I just left my 5-star review, and let that build. Let that be a building, and let's get our voices out there and heard. And I want hundreds of reviews left for Anne, because that's going to help more and then more and more and more. And you're a part of that. So when you leave a review, you become part of sowing in and reaping, with Anne and with God. So blessings, Anne. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for this opportunity, Bray. I really appreciate it, and all your support that you've given to me and to many others.
You got it. I'm here for you guys. Love it.